So we're picking up here, trying to figure out whether these things are outliers or not. We've done step 1 and 2 already. Now we're stuck on step 3. Namely, we have to find the lower fence and the upper fence. So the lower fence I already found, which was Q1 minus Q, or 1.5 IQR, and then I found what that was, and that was 90. And now I'm doing Q3 plus 1.5 IQR, which is equal to 115 plus 1.5 times 10, which is 130. I'm just doing that in my head, but you could go type it up in a calculator or an Excel or whatever. All right, so step 3 is done. Step 4. Any values that are lower, lower than the LF, lower fence, or above the upper fence, UF, are outliers. Right? And we have one. 78 is below 90, so it is an outlier. And that was the only outlier in our data set here. The data set's way back here. There it is. So there's our data set. The highest number we had is 118, which is not higher than 130. And the lowest number we had is 78, which is lower than 90. None of these other points are outliers. So there we go. Ta-da! So that's the official method for determining an outlier. You can also kind of do a rough estimate. It's not perfect, but it's an estimate. If the z-score is 2 or above, right, or -2 or below, right? So if you're past 2 standard deviations, then oopsie. Right? In other words, if the score or the value is past 2 standard deviations away from the mean. Now this is not really very precise, mainly because the mean and the standard deviation are not resistant to said outlier. So if there is an outlier, then the mean and standard deviation are affected by that, but the median and the IQR are not. So this isn't a great method, but it gives you kind of a quick rule of thumb. So let's check out 78. We think 78 is an outlier. Let's check it out. So the z-score for 78 would be equal to 78 minus, now the mean we found, it was 106.74. 106.74 divided by the standard deviation, which was 11.65. And remember, I can use Excel to help me out with that a bit. Anywhere is good. So equals standardize. 78 was my score. My mean is right here, 106.7, comma, my standard deviation is 11.65. Or you can just type the numbers in too. That's -2.46. So -2.46, which is lower than 2 standard deviations, which is below -2, and therefore most likely an outlier. There we go. So that's the rule of thumb, kind of a rough way of measuring outliers. The official way is up here with the quartiles and all that jazz. Oopsie, and that's what they're going to say right here. Right? Hold on. Running into troubles. Sometimes values will be outliers with the quartile method, but not the z-score method, and vice versa. When in doubt, use the official method, and that's method number 1 with the quartiles and all that jazz. That is the correct method of determining whether something's really an outlier or not. This z-score method is just kind of a quick way to double check yourself, but it's not going to work perfectly every time. So when in doubt, use this method right up here. All right, we are all done with 3-4. I know. Only one section left. I'll see you back here then.